Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you all are having a great day so far. So today, we will be continuing our Learning Linux series by creating a bootable live USB of our chosen distribution. The core process for installing Linux, to my understanding at least, is more or less the same across most distributions, in which you first acquire an image of the operating system, write it to the installation media, then boot it through the boot options on your device to initiate the setup process. However, here, we will be going through installing Fedora 41, on a ThinkPad X220 tablet. So with all that being said, we can begin by downloading the latest stable image of Fedora Workstation. So let's get started. So when we visit the Fedora project website, on the home page, we should be able to see, as of the time of this video, the latest release. That being 41. So we can go ahead and single click it, which will bring us down to this page. From here, we have a number of options available to us, depending upon the type of user that we are. However, for the purposes of this video, we will go ahead and select the download now option for the Fedora workstation, and then select the download button next to for Intel and AMD x86 64 systems, as that is the laptop I will be running it on. If you plan to be installing this media on a different type of architecture, those may be available for you as well. After clicking the download button next to our relevant option, the download will begin and we will wait for it to complete. Once the download is complete, we will go ahead and take our USB stick and plug it into our computer, and from there we will be using a utility to write the file to a USB stick. In this particular case, I will be using Rufus, which would accomplish this purpose, and the disk that I have selected is 128 gigabytes. You should be sure that the USB stick you select has enough capacity for the distribution that you want to write to it. After selecting the appropriate drive, you should also select the ISO image, which you have just downloaded, and there are a number of other options here to change. However, I will not be changing anything else at this time, so I will just go ahead and click start. You may receive a prompt like this. However, I will continue to proceed in ISO mode. And another prompt here, warning the user that all the data on the disk will be destroyed. So we can go ahead and click OK to continue, and then the process will begin. It will just take a little bit of time. After the process is complete, we can safely eject our USB media and move over to the computer. So now that we have the USB stick in front of our ThinkPad X220 tablet, we can go ahead and insert it into the USB port. Let's start up the computer. And interrupt our normal startup. We're going to go over to the BIOS setup utility because there is something that we need to check before we proceed. Once we are in the BIOS, if we navigate all the way over to startup and we go down to the UEFI legacy boot options, we can see we have UEFI and legacy boot. We want to set the boot priority to UEFI first so that I can prioritize this UEFI device. If we do not do this, we may have problems with the installation later. So once we have made our changes, we could go ahead and press F10 to save and exit, and interrupt normal startup once again to select our temporary startup device. So from here, we want to select our USB hard disk, and then we want to start Fedora Workstation Live 41. And this may take some time to load, depending on your computer, after which point it should start booting into Fedora. Once it boots into Fedora, we will be greeted with this screen right here. Let's go ahead and click into it. And we have a splash screen indicating welcome to Fedora. This live media can be used to install Fedora or as a temporary system installation. It can be started at any time using the install icon in activities. So we can go ahead and click install Fedora, as that's what we're trying to do here. And we can wait for it to load. The Fedora installation screen is displayed here. We will leave these options as they are and select continue. And then from here, we will go to our system install destination, since there's some partitioning that I wanted to take care of here. Just making sure that this is the correct disk. If your laptop or desktop has multiple hard disks, then you would see multiple options here. Make sure to select the proper option, since the disk will be completely erased. If it is necessary to reclaim space, there is an option for that as well. I have a previous installation of Fedora on this hard disk, which I am deleting so that I can reclaim that space and then begin with the rest of the installation. From here, if you haven't done so already, there are some localization options and keyboard options that you can change if you need to. However, at this point, I will begin the installation and then the installation will start. This may also take some time, so just a little bit of patience, and everything will get sorted. After the installation completes, we will see a message in the bottom right corner indicating that Fedora is now successfully installed and ready for you to use. Go ahead and reboot your system to start using it. So let's go ahead and finish the installation, and our system should reboot. The computer should begin to restart at this point, and Fedora should be booting directly from the hard drive. And now we should be booted directly into Fedora. After installing Fedora, you may come across this boot screen. Setup will guide you through making an account and enabling some features, and we'll have you up and running in no time. So let's go ahead and go through the setup. I'm going to go ahead and select my Wi-Fi network. After entering my key, I'll be connected to Wi-Fi. However, you do not necessarily need to connect to a Wi-Fi network to proceed. So clicking next, you can decide whether or not you want to have location services and automatic problem reporting on at this point. In the next setup screen, there will be a prompt for third-party repositories. If you are more of an advanced user, then you may want to enable this. However, if not, then it is not necessarily important right now. On the following screen, you can enter information about yourself, and there's also an enterprise login option as well. However, for the purposes of this video, we'll just go ahead and click next, and then create a password for our account. So at the About You screen, we can enter information for ourselves. There's also an enterprise login option. However, for the purposes of this video, we'll just go ahead and click next, and then we'll go ahead and set our password. After setting our password, we can move on to the next screen, and then it seems we're all done. Fedora Linux is ready to be used. So let's start using Fedora Linux. And then we are greeted by another prompt. In this case, learning our way around. We can either skip this or take the tour. Let's go ahead and take the tour. Learn about the key features in Fedora Linux 41 Workstation Edition. By clicking the right arrow, we can go ahead and get an overview showing us all of our apps in Windows, and we can press the super key to open it, which on this particular computer, since this is a ThinkPad, we do have a Windows key down here, so we can go ahead and press it. And when we do, we can see that all these windows are superimposed now. We can move to our desktop if we need to, and we can also drag and drop windows by going ahead and clicking on them and moving them to the next desktop. And it's a pretty seamless experience just by tapping that Windows key and then going to all of our apps down there as well. Clicking the right arrow moves us along to its powerful search function. And to search, you would just start typing in the overview. So pressing the Windows key, typing to search for calculator, for example, and there it is. The next screen shows us how to stay organized with our workspaces, organizing your windows by moving them into different workspaces, as I've shown previously. That could be done by dragging them in the overview. So once again, we press the Windows key to open the overview, and then go ahead and drag it over to another window. We can also switch between screens if we need to. It looks like there are 3 available for us. Moving on to the next page, there are also swipe up and swipe down gestures that could be done on the touchpad. To quickly open the overview with a touchpad, swipe up with 3 fingers. And unfortunately, swiping gestures do not work on this particular ThinkPad's touchpad. However, those which are capable of multi-touch gestures can use them more freely. And that's it. So to get more advice and tips, you can also go ahead and see the Help app as well. So that was a general overview of installing Linux from a live USB, specifically Fedora, and going through the Fedora setup process. There are a few more things that we can do at this point. However, if you have any specific questions regarding installing Fedora on your machine, or any other questions or any other comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section below, and we can do our best to find a solution. With that being said, that's it for today's video. In the next part of this series, we will be going over command line fundamentals, so stay tuned for that. But in any case, thank you all for watching, and I hope you all have a great day. Take care.